Welcome, everybody, to the Swiss Army Man podcast, episode number 20. Today, I am joined by special guest, Jems. What's up, Jems?
Not much. How are you?
I'm just living the daddy daycare dream. Yeah, as we both are. So, Jems, obviously, we met through the Anomalies, I guess, technically, but also through Pat McAfee Twitter and all of that kind of ballpark. We're both lefties, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And
Yes.
we are both Lions fans, which makes us the two coolest Anomalies. Then, as none of them other ones are here to defend themselves, so no. So figured have you on. I eventually will have all those guys on, but we bonded obviously over Lions fandom, and then just constant chatter inside of our little bubble that we have. So I wanted to have you on because I figured we'd have a great conversation and people would enjoy. Eve is dropping in on two dudes having fun conversation. So
sounds good to me.
So yeah. So usually I only questions that are definitely get answered on this thing are from the previous guest. And since I haven't posted the previous guest yet, you might be a little thrown off. But then I'll also make sure that you have a question for the next guest. You are also the first guest that gets two questions to ask.
Ooh.
or to answer, because I had two guests on the last podcast. So you're a little special. Also, not over my head here. You're episode number 20, and obviously number 20 holds very big significance to us as Lions fans, as the best player ever in our franchise history, Barry Sanders. So
that's right.
So we'll knock that out. So to start, I guess obviously you live in Indiana, correct?
Correct.
All right. So are you from Michigan? Where were you born? Were you born in Indiana?
Born and raised in LaPorte, Indiana, about 20, 25 minutes west of Notre Dame. So I've been in Indiana forever. My dad and brother were big Packers fans, and for some reason I decided I was going to like the Lions. The only thing I ever come up with is that I thought Barry Sanders was awesome when I was little.
Oh, I mean, that's fair. That is. I mean, Barry Sanders was awesome.
Right. I think I just like to be different from them because they were both Cubs fans too, and I like the White Sox. So
okay. Well, I am a by de facto a Cubs fan because my wife is a huge Cubs fan. I'm a Tigers fan, but they're National League, so I can root for them. But yeah, it's tough sometimes, especially when they're doing good.
Yeah, I'm balls deep in Cubs and Bears country. There's White Sox fans, but it's Cubs and Bears basically. So the sports radio I listen to is primarily Cubs and Bears, and then it's the greatest when both teams suck or they're losing because a bunch of Chicago meatballs are on there freaking out all the time.
Yeah, the Cubs actually were just not great last season, so that must have been a joy for you.
Yeah, I enjoy it when the Cubs don't do as well as they're supposed to, or just suck in general.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, we as a full blown Detroit fan, so all of my top teams are Detroit teams. I know how that goes. Rough go of winning because we've had not the greatest the last year or so.
Yeah, and
every team's been garbage.
Yeah, my entire family, on my side and then my wife's side, are all Cubs fans. So I'm the only White Sox fan around. So it's when they're great, when the Cubs are good, it kind of sucks, but when they suck, it's great.
I'm sure you were having a ball of it when the White Sox won the World Series a couple of years back before the Cubs got there.
Yeah, I was still in high school then, but it was awesome.
Oh, so you weren't married at that point, so you didn't even get to rub it in there. Dang it!
No, but I could talk about shit at school, so that was
cool. Yeah, that's it's worth it. It's worth it. That's how I was when the Pistons were on a roll there for a little bit with Chauncey Billups and stuff. I was I'm rubbing it into everybody, but it's just. You have to with sports. Is kind of the one thing. I know that's the one thing I know in our Anomalies group we talk a lot about is just sports rivalries and everything. Right. So speaking of that, wanted to kind of segue from away from that a little bit into we all picked a team to root for. So we're Vipers fans, and they continued our Lions losing ways. So
I didn't realize Mark Trestman was the coach of the Vipers, so I'm kind of like not sure that's where I want to throw my allegiance. And it's not just because they lost, but I just don't think I can root for a team coached by Mark Trestman after seeing what he did in Chicago.
Yeah. That's a bad. Yeah, I didn't realize either. I didn't even think to look at the coaches. I was just like, yeah, Vipers, let's go. And then I was like, oh, man, this is not. And then we got the first guy ejected in the XFL history. That's great. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just brutal. All my teams are losing.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I was gonna pick a new XFL team or a first XFL team, I feel like I was kind of bullied into the Vipers.
Yeah, yeah. It got down.
Like,
I don't even know how we got down to 2 teams, and then I was just like,
I don't know.
The Vipers are cooler out of the 2 options.
Right. I kind of liked the Battlehawks, but I think that's because they were blue and silver, and the Battlehawks is kind of cool. It's a weird name, but I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
maybe oh yeah. Maybe we'll have to like redo our allegiance in the group, see if we can all switch now that we've seen what the teams can do.
Right, and I think the Battlehawks are still like this, even though they're 1-0. I think they're like the 6th favorite to win it all. So like they're not.
They're not like the front runners. We're not like joining the Patriots or anything like that.
Right. There was, I think it was the New York team, looked like an NFL team.
Yeah. It's the not the Renegades. No, the Renegades is the Dallas team. The Roughnecks?
No, that's Houston.
No, that's Houston. Yeah, there's so many teams.
The Defenders is DC, I think.
Yeah, DC is the Defenders. I know the Dragons are the Seattle team.
Guardians.
Oh, the Guardians. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. More sense, the Guardians. Yeah. Yeah, they looked pretty good. I watched a bunch of highlights. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, there was a lot of big hits and then a lot of like people just bouncing off each other because they couldn't tackle people.
Yeah, the level of competition is not quite across the board. Like they'll find the guys to run at eventually.
That Renegades team has like, I know they have Lance Dunbar who played for the Cowboys, and then I think Cameron Artemis Payne.
Oh yeah.
So those were like both people I think I've rostered on a fantasy team before. So
you're right. You're like, they were on my fantasy team. I'm gonna guess that fantasy team. Well, Lance Dunbar actually, if it was PPR, Lance Dunbar was like really good in PPRs for a little bit.
I'm hoping they were handcuffs. I just remember the names, and I was like, oh, I haven't thought about those guys in a few years.
Yeah, it's always weird. There was a couple of times I was watching the highlights and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that dude. Like, so I saw something about Kaepernick was like, I guess in talks to play in the XFL, but they didn't want to pay him enough or something like that. Or for his standards, I guess. I don't know what your standards are anymore.
Thing, like from the beginning, I was like, somebody needs to give him a shot. And then like this whole thing that he did this year with the tryout and stuff, I was like, oh, Colin.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. So it's like, sometimes you have to like a little bit swallow your pride to be like, okay, like I got most of what I wanted. Let me play by the rules there. So they have nothing to like negative press me for. And then I'll do well. And then, cause I saw the workout he did. It seemed like it was okay. Like he definitely could still throw the ball and stuff, but it's like when you're like set that kind of precedent, just like change venues last second. It's like, man, I want to be like on your side with things, but like like they're trying to. It seems like they're trying to give you a chance, or at least they PR'd it well. Like, one of the two. So
yeah, and he's still better probably than a lot of the backups. It's just
for sure
a pride thing, I think, at this point.
Yeah, he might be better than some of the starters in the NFL, to be honest with you.
Probably.
I mean, there's got to be at least 2 that he can beat out.
I wouldn't have been opposed to, I guess, seeing him in Detroit toward the end of the year this year.
Yeah, no Stafford. Yeah, that would have been nice. So that's a great segue actually back into the Detroit Lions. So we have the 3 pick this year. I don't know how close you're following draft mocks and all that kind of stuff.
Quite a bit.
What do you think now? What do you think we should do? Because I have like my thought of what I think we should do.
Okay, so I'll start with my like ideal scenario.
Yeah.
And I just retweeted it. I think Kyle Menke, one of the beat reporters for the Lions, put out a mock draft today where Burrow is obviously the number 1 choice.
Yeah.
And that Washington has 2, and he has them trading back to 5, so the Dolphins come up to 2 to take Tua, and then I think the Redskins got that fifth overall pick, and then one of the other Dolphins first round picks, and then that gives the Lions Chase Young,
That's
the
all.
defensive end out of Ohio State, and that's my ideal scenario.
That's who I wanted. And I didn't think like we would get him because I think Washington will take him if they stay. So I was like,
especially with Chico.
Yeah.
This is Marco Rivera coaching there. He loves defense.
Yeah. So I was like, man, if we don't get Chase Young, I would prefer to trade back and like just get as many picks as possible and then just take and hope you hit on something like a couple guys, fill a lot.
I don't see a scenario where the Lions actually keep the 3rd overall pick unless somebody trades up to 2. Because like the Panthers also need a quarterback. So like if the Redskins end up using their pick at 2, then the Lions will probably either trade back to 5 for the Dolphins, or they could even go further back.
Yeah.
If they trade back to the Dolphins have like 2 or 3 first-round picks. So if they can get 2 first-round picks for that 3 spot, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I've seen people say the Lions can take Tua, but I don't like that.
I don't want Tua either. Like that's for me, I'm just like, we have Stafford and he's still young and he's, people are like, oh, he's back. He was out. Like, but people forget before the season, he was freaking around for every game since basically his rookie year. Like, I mean, he's a durable player. So I figure with the offseason, he'll be back to normal, get a healthy, fill the roster holes that we have. So like, so if we can trade back and get like 2 first-round picks, I mean, I'm all for that, especially if one's a 5 pick. And then, you're still getting a possibility at that point if they take, because they would only trade up to take Tua. So then you just hope the 4 team doesn't take the cornerback we want. We could still end up with the guy that everyone has us getting in mock drafts anyway, which is that cornerback out of, I think, Ohio State.
Yeah, Jeff Okudah. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. If they go back to 5, they'll probably still get him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be a win-win if we get another first round or even like maybe like 2 or 3 like second round and like maybe a 3rd round or whatever, however they compensate us to. But you got to come up even to come up 2 spots, 5 to 3, especially with the Dolphins having all those 1 picks. I mean, you would think it would be 2 first rounds there.
Yeah, you would hope so. I feel like that they're sitting in a pretty good spot. Like, yeah. I wish they would have sucked enough to get to the 2, then this wasn't even an issue.
Then we could just take Young.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be awesome. And we've done well with 2 picks, number 2 picks in our history. So
there's been plenty of top picks.
Yeah, we've done bad one.
Yeah.
We haven't done well with first picks for sure. But number 2 picks, I mean, we got Calvin. Calvin was a good. I mean, Stafford maybe can still prove himself as a number 1 pick.
Was Sue number 2?
I think Sue was a number 2 pick. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, I think Barry was like a 4th pick or a 3rd pick. But
3rd or 4th. The Packers took somebody in front of him. And
oh, yeah. They took that Troy Aikman was first pick, I think, maybe.
That sounds right.
Or Deion Sanders, one of the 2. I can't remember. Because that was a stacked year. But they took like the Packers took like some lineman dude. But yeah, I think Sue was a number 2 pick as well. So Sue was good when we had him. Sue was a 2 pick, yeah.
That 89 draft had 5 Hall of Famers in it.
Yeah. And 4 of them I think were in the top 5 picks.
Troy Aikman, and then the Packers took Tony Mandarich.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lions took Barry Sanders, the Chiefs took Derek Thomas, and the Falcons took Deion Sanders. So yeah, the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers. Well, I mean, we've done that multiple times. My favorite one is the Sue was a number 2 pick. So I mean, we haven't done bad with 2 and 3 picks. I mean, we got Barry Sanders a 3 pick. So, but yeah, my favorite one is I think it was the year that Marvin Harrison and Ray Lewis came out. We drafted a linebacker and a wide receiver. We had 2 first round picks. We drafted a linebacker and a wide receiver in the first round. We drafted a linebacker before, like 2 picks before Marvin Harrison was taken. And then we drafted a wide receiver 2 picks before Ray Lewis was taken. And neither one of the, so I'm like, we drafted those positions. We could have 2 Hall of Famers. So.
They have a tendency to do that because I think the year Randy Moss got picked, it was like the 21st or 22nd pick, and the Lions were like a pick or two in front of that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who they took.
I think we took
obviously
Terry Fair, I believe, is who we took.
Cornerback, kick returner too, maybe.
I'm pretty sure it was Terry Fair, yeah. And I remember that because that was like one of my favorite drafts because that was like so stacked. It was like obviously Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, fizzled out, but Curtis Enos. It was like Charles Woodson. It was great, and I was like, Randy Moss is right there. Just take him.
As a younger male, when the Bears took Curtis Enos, I just could not stop giggling.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, I think he left the NFL to become like some religious leader. I'm pretty sure,
like a cult leader. Or?
Nah, I think I can't remember if he's like a normal like Christian religion or if it's like something else that's like that was outside the box. But like I think he left to become like a pastor. I think he just he was over the violence or something like that. It was something weird. He was like one of those weird early like retirement guys.
For quite a while, the Bears struggled with their early draft picks too, especially with running backs and quarterbacks.
I mean,
they just struggled.
The recent one, they traded up to take Trubisky, didn't they?
That would have been my favorite draft when they did that
over Patrick Mahomes.
Well, just that they traded up from 3 to 2.
Yeah.
And they still would have gotten him.
Well,
and if anybody traded up, they would have taken Trubisky.
Yeah. Well, that was like the one I think last year. Someone traded up, and they were like, I think I was watching one of those like how like ESPN does the it's like they have like the regular draft, but then they have like dudes kind of like what they do with McAfee, where they like put them in. It was like Golick Jr. and like a couple other people, and they saw the trade up, and they were like, oh, they're definitely trading up to take so and so, and then they just took somebody that was like 15th on like the big board. It was like, what? Yeah. It's like, why would you trade up there? You could have got that guy.
Yeah, I don't know why they do. I guess I'm not an NFL GM, and that's probably why.
Well, I mean, you could have been better than Matt Millen for sure. So,
yeah,
I mean, not many could be worse. So speaking of that, I know you said you're a younger guy. How old are you actually?
I just turned 30 like 2 weeks ago. Okay,
so I'm 7 years older than you. So I got to dwell through some not great years, but then again, I guess you were really young when we made the run in the playoffs with Barry then, probably. So I got to see that at least.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So then
94?
I think it was, 90. It was the year the Redskins, I think, won the Super Bowl. That was 91, 92, something like that. We made it to, I think, the game before the Super Bowl, and then we lost.
Yeah, I think we were in a championship game.
Which is probably the best we've ever played. But I mean, that's why like people always ask me, they're like, why are you a Lions fan? And I was like, my grandfather was a Lions fan. He was older. He was born in 1930. So he lived through like the 50s, championships. And like, so he was like, whatever. That was his team. And then we rooted for him. And I got to see like early on, like I was like young, and I was like, oh, we're in the NFC championship game. So I couldn't have predicted the next 30 years, but
I'm going to choose a good team.
Yeah. I should have picked a better team, but no, the Lions are great.
In the rest of the 90s, they had a handful of wild cards.
Yeah, we did okay. Like, I mean, like, and we've always had good players that were entertaining to watch. My wife says it all the time. She's a Colts fan. She's like, your games are like the most entertaining games because something crazy happens always. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary a couple of years ago. I think it was Monday or Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And my wife went to bed, and then she just hears me like freaking out downstairs. She's like, it's just a game. I was like, no.
Like, not like this. Yeah.
The most typical Lions thing I have ever seen.
Yeah. Well, it's like I always joke because I think it was like one of the Thanksgiving. I think it was the last Thanksgiving we had. Again, I'm like totally like blanking his name. The guy, he's a defensive coordinator now. Was always fired up. Why can't I think of his name? Yeah, Jim Schwartz. Yeah, where we had like a fumble and the dude ran it back, but he threw like the challenge flag, and you can't. It was like the first year they made it where it was like mandatory review on like a turnover and a touchdown. So he like lost his challenge. We lost the timeout, and we got like a 15-yard penalty, and they didn't even challenge it because if you do that, then they don't even look at the review it, and it was actually like we were right. So that we got a touchdown scored. It was like the stupidest stuff that could possibly happens against the Lions, and you're like, really?
Any obscure rule that exists, you will find it out by watching a Lions game.
Yeah, the Calvin Johnson touchdown rule.
Yeah, that one. The one where I think Seattle batted the ball out of the back of the end zone.
Oh yeah.
It might have been Calvin Johnson fumbled it right at the 1 or something, and then they batted it out. But no, there's no flag there.
Yeah, and then the other one, the Packers on the kick return, stepping a foot out of bounds.
Oh yeah,
like just stuff like that. It always happens. I think the other one I found out through Lions game was you even if you get 2 feet in, but if your heel touches and you're going backwards out of bounds, it's not a catch. It overturns the 2 feet down. It's like you just find out all these like weird rules, and you're like, why does it only happen in Lions game?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the worst.
Yeah, Lions fandom is rough, but so you're 30. So what do you do for a living?
I work at a steel mill. I'm a crane operator in a steel mill.
Yeah, I know you recently were taking tests. I know you said you were saying that in the thing. Was that to like full blown do that, like, or was that like just a part of like to do? That was
so we have to take a test to become like get in the maintenance department, and that's like
it's all good.
That would be our second highest pay grade. So I took that test. I passed it.
Oh, cool.
Really not mechanically inclined, but I just did well enough, and so I can learn stuff. I learned good. And actually, there's bids out right now for that, so I've signed those to try to get into that.
Oh, cool.
But
Sweet.
If not, I'm happy in the.
I was gonna say, is that like for you guys? Is that like a interview process, or is that like a seniority thing, or
seniority?
Yeah, because that's how it kind of works for in our field. It's like routes come up and stuff like that, but it's all seniority based. So yeah, whatever. I think the next person to leave, I think gives me a full blown like I'll have my own route. Like I have my own route now, but I cover other people's routes, like the same people. I do the same thing every week, but yeah, it's very strange. So hopefully I'll eventually be able to just do the same route every day. So
yeah, I'm hoping to. I think I want one of them.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter at this point. I guess I'm in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. So is that what you've done since you were like out of high school, or was that something fairly new? Yeah.
I'll have 7 years in June. So like I went to school for a couple of years. I played baseball for like a year and a half, and then I like to say I retired, and then transferred home, went to school there for a minute, and thought I wanted to be a school teacher. That was just I wanted to coach, so I'll do a secondary ed. Yeah. And then worked in a factory and then got in the mill.
Okay. So that's the other thing we have in common, sort of, is obviously baseball. We both played college baseball. And then also my degree was going to be in secondary education because the same thing. I wanted to be a teacher and stuff. So that's made the most sense. I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. So teaching seems pretty easy, and be a PE teacher and coach, and that was kind of the thought, but then I tore my arm to shreds. You pitched, correct? You were a pitcher as well? So both lefties. So what school did you go to first? You said
it's called Waubonsie. It was a community college in Illinois. So ideally I was going to go there for 2 years and then transfer to I probably wasn't going anywhere big time, but somewhere slightly bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the same reason I went to a community college as well. Like, so, but I wanted to go pro after 1 year. So I was like, I don't want to stay around for 3 years in a Division I. So I passed up some Division I offers, which was in hindsight really stupid. But
it's a good route though. If you like, for a lot of people, it works out quite well.
Well, my problem was I was a military brat, so I transferred into my high school when the team was basically set. My coach had already had like everybody that he was coaching since he was like, they were like 10. So it was like really hard to kind of break through, but I was on the team because I was so good, but it was like, I never got any push from him. So I had to like do all my own, like send out like recruit tapes and all that stuff. Like, so I was like, I'm good enough. We had this one scout that came to scout one of our other guys, and I was throwing bullpen, and he's like a left-handed Greg Maddox. And I was like, that seems like I should be in the pros then. So
yeah, I never threw very hard, but I had a good curveball and changeup. And then I didn't. I was a couple local schools I had talked to, but I wasn't really thinking about it. I was going to go to IU, Indiana.
Okay.
Just to go, not to play or anything. And then my coach, ended up being my college coach, ended up showing up to a game randomly, and I didn't know he was there. And most of the time we had to take the bus to the game, but it was the girls sectional, which is like playoff.
Okay.
And they were playing just down the road, so the coach let us drive to the game, so we could all of us seniors dipped out real quick after the game and went to their game.
Yeah.
And come to find out, like there was a guy there to recruit me, so I ended up talking to him and went and visited, and I was like, this is nice, and it was paying like $80 a credit hour.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's smart. That's the one good thing about going to community college. I had a scholarship, and like the part that wasn't what they could give me was like up to a certain amount because they weren't like a full blown thing. So like I had like the smallest amount of money to pay back when I decided I didn't want to finish college. So it was like $200 or something, like so cheap. Nothing came out of pocket.
Yeah, probably my biggest regret is my freshman year. My coach wanted me to start throwing submarine.
Oh yeah,
I was left-handed, but I hated it. I don't know why I hated it, but I hated it. And thinking about it, if I just worked a little bit at that and got good, and even if I was only throwing like 82 submarine, there's like a market for that.
Yeah,
like
it's definitely like a niche,
right? Like you should come in and throw to one batter and make whatever, but like being left-handed and 30-year-old Jared knows this. 19-year-old Jared did not.
Well, it's so funny because like I tell people all the time, people that love baseball, like absolutely love baseball, they're like, I'm a diehard. They can tell you like a bunch of stats about their team and stuff like that. Whenever I talk to them, they're like, oh, you play baseball. What'd you play? And I was like, well, I guess I technically consider myself a pitcher because that's what I went to college to do. But I loved catching. I was a catcher. And I didn't realize until like I moved to Virginia that like lefties don't catch. Like it was like I never looked around because I was just like, I've always caught. My dad caught, so he was like, I want you to catch, and he got me a glove, and I always had a good pop time, so I was like, it was never an issue. I was throwing kids out, and then we got I remember the first time I heard it was I was actually at a Michigan State camp because my grandfather and my grandma met on Michigan State campus, and they both worked there for 40 years. So I loved Michigan State, and I went to a camp there, and we were doing catching drills, and the head coach was like over my shoulder. There was like 8 of us, and they like rolled the ball out, and you're supposed to obviously go like banana, like take the route to it, and then throw the guy out. And I was just like, it was like up first baseline or whatever. And then I just like went to the ball and like sidearmed it and like threw the dude out or whatever. And he's like, why'd that look so weird? He's like, and then I was like, I don't know, I'm talking to him, and now he's looking at my glove, and he's like, you threw that ball so hard. He's like, if you were right-handed, I'd give you a full ride scholarship right now. And I was like,
isn't that suck? Like everything.
I was like, wait though. I was like, but I just did good. I was like, he's like, and then he was the one that basically told me, he was like, can you throw off a mound? And the first time I ever really threw off a mound was at that camp. Like they got me with a pitching coach. Oddly enough, the Lansing Lugnuts were with, I think, the Cubs at the time. I don't know if they still are. And so like, it was like the Cubs, like single A, like pitching coach was there and like, was like showing me like things. And I was like, well, I don't want to pitch though. I want to catch. Like, and they were like, no, yeah, lefties don't catch. And then I started researching it and I was like, yeah, lefties don't catch. I was like, I guess that's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, it sucks. Lefties don't catch. They don't play infield except for first.
Yeah.
Just very limited being left-handed, but everybody wants lefties.
Yeah. Pitching is, it's funny because like pitching is the one thing where like we get the advantage. Like we don't have to throw as hard. We don't have, like, you know, I mean, it's like a specialty. Like it's like the one spot where they're like, if you're left-handed, we'll take you, or we'll even give you a shot. So yeah, it was crazy. So what did you top out at? What was your like top speed? I know you just said you.
I think like freshman year, it was like 83 or 84.
That's so good. That's good for a lefty though.
Like, yeah, I think I only hit that like my first game ever in college because the adrenaline was going, but then it was like 80, 81. I actually, over Labor Day this year, I played baseball for the first time in 10 years.
Oh, dang.
And it was like, it was guys about my age and that I played against a few of them, but a lot of them were just kind of local, but not the local teams that we played. And I went out on the mound, and I was just like, I felt like I was throwing pretty hard, and they're like, you're probably touching 80.
Nice.
And that's, but like none of us have seen pitching in here, so it could have been like 75 and just looked faster.
Like it looks faster. You'll be the next. You'll be the next rookie, man. Dennis Quaid will play you.
Except for like, I used to have no arm trouble, and then like I threw 4 innings, and like by the end of it, I was like, I got to be done.
That's what did me in with my arm trouble. So I have Ehlers-Danlos. I think I've said it on this podcast before, but if you don't know what it is, basically it means my joints are super loose and like elasticy. So I could pitch like 100 pitches a day, no problem. Just bam, 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 bam. Got to college, I never did weight training. My coach, like in high school, hated it, but like I would never do weight training. I do a lot of cardio. I lift like really light weights, just like a billion times, but never heavy weights. And my college coach wanted everyone weight training, no exception. Like I even went to the doctor and was like, it's not the best thing for the condition. Like still didn't care. And they think that's what messed up so they think I weight lifted so much that my muscles tried to do the normal thing and like strengthen, but it ended up just like threading the muscle. And then one day it just snapped. And then I rehabbed it and then it snapped again. And it was like 19 years old. And doctor's like, hey, if you snap it again, we can repair it, but you're probably just going to have shaky hands for the rest of your life. And I was like, that's not good. I don't like, I remember sitting there being like, baseball dream, being able to hold my child, like that, not born yet. Like, I mean, like just like my brain, like at 19 was like, shot, lottery ticket or stability.
That's pretty responsible for a 19-year-old to choose the right one, I guess.
It was weird. Yeah. It's one of those weird things where I'm like, man, like I think about it from time to time where I'm like, man, baseball would have been real cool. But like at the same time, you're like, I do have 3 kids now. So I'm like, it's great that I can hold my kids, you know what I mean? And I can do things with my dominant hand that I should be able to do. Like it's tough, but like I throw the ball every now and then, like just to see how hard I could throw it. Like, and I'm like, I feel like I could gas it still, but it's just like, I bet you like, I would, like you said, I'd probably go like 2 innings and then be like done.
Yeah. I knew I was playing in this game for like a month. And I was like, I should probably start playing long toss or just playing catch in general.
Yeah.
All I did was play softball on Sunday. Did nothing to like prepare myself for it. It was like I didn't even warm up before we played. I don't know why. I never warmed up too much before I pitched anyways.
I didn't either.
I would just 20 pitches and I was like, all right, I'm good to go.
I would throw literally like 9 to 10 pitches. Like that was all my warm up. Like I would just get day of game. We'd get to the field. And my coach was like a little bit OCD now looking back on it, but we had this like really nice field. So our high school was the newest high school in the area. My brother is 3 years older than me. He was like the first full blown 4-year graduating class. So we had like this almost $1 million field basically. So like the first half hour of practice was like taking care of the field, like watering it, tamping it down, like raking it. And then we'd practice for 2 hours and then we'd have like an hour of like doing it all again and setting it up for the next day. So like we took care of this field. So like I'd get out there usually and I'd run like a couple poles and I'd like throw like maybe 4 or 5 like long toss balls and then 9 pitches. And then I'd be like, okay, let's go. Like that was the routine.
Our coach was the exact same way. We did so much work on our field. Like I could probably put landscaper on a resume now.
Yeah.
Like if we would have worked as much on the field as we did other things.
Yeah.
Or if we would have worked as much on other things as we did on the field, we probably would have done something.
We did well, like, but it's just like it looking back on it, I'm like, that's such a ridiculous thing to do. Like, yeah, the field was nice, but it was like, I mean, I would remember like we had like this shed that was like probably like maybe 15 yards behind home plate. And like, we would have like turf builder and like all this, like we'd be like putting them over our shoulders and like cutting the bags and like putting them. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I probably could go work for like a minor league team as like the groundskeeper. Like,
yeah, like it was wild. And like in the fall, we didn't do any baseball workouts. We just got the field prepared for winter.
I mean, it worked out though. We like held always. So spring break was always a big one there. And obviously in Virginia, like the weather's still good. Always pretty much like never anything bad. So we'd always have all it's probably why we had so many scouts come out, because we had a lot of the tournaments there, so we got to see a lot of the scouts. But yeah, it was nuts. It was just like, this is, looking back, I'm like, 90% of my high school baseball practice was probably running or working on a field.
Yeah, most of our early games were flurried. We'd have snow.
Oh yeah, Indiana, yeah. That probably sucked too. I've never thought about that, but like aluminum bat in the like cold is not fun, especially.
Yeah, my senior year, I got like one at bat. I just DH. Coach was like, I just want you to pitch.
Yeah. Well, see, that sucked. My coach would put me in to bunt because I was the best bunter on the team. But like, I mean, I was a good hitter, but like I was the best bunter. But then like when I got to college, I was like, hey, coach, I don't know how many times I lost a game. I've lost games in college because we couldn't execute a bunt. Like literally runner on second base, no outs, should be really easy. Bunt him over to third. We screw it up and get double played. Like we just know. And I was like, coach, just let me hit. Like, let me hit. And he was like, can't let you hit because my stupid little league coach, my T-ball coach, only taught me how to bat right-handed. So my pitching shoulder's exposed. I was like, I'm going to be bunting anyway. I'm going to be squared up. My face is going to be exposed. I'm just going up there to bunt. Yeah. So they never let me hit in college, really. It sucked. But
I think I got, like, my freshman and sophomore year of high school, I batted over 300. And then junior year on varsity, I didn't play a ton. I started pitching more toward the end of the year. And I 8 or 9 at bats, and it was like 300. Senior year, he's like, I just want you to pitch. Like, damn it. And then freshman year at college, between fall and just for the regular season, I ended up with 3 at bats, and I think I was 2 for 3. I was like, just let me hit. Come on, I just want to bat.
Well, that's funny. So speaking of batting, I remember most of the people that I faced that were like went on to go. Did you in high school or college? Did you face anybody pitching wise that like went on to the Major League Baseball or anything like that?
Not that I know of. I know in travel ball we faced some dudes throwing over 90, but I don't ever remember their names or anything.
Dang, yeah.
I know in like our all-star game for the area, like one of the newspapers put on, this guy, his name was Jamie Simpson. He never, I don't think he did. I know he got drafted, and I also had a D1 football scholarship, so I don't know which route he took.
Yeah.
He took me yard during that game, but I don't know anybody's names of people that we faced.
I was saying that mostly because, so like for me, I always like to joke. So I struck out Ryan Zimmerman a bunch, like in between like summer leagues and like high school and stuff. But like Mark Reynolds, who also went to the pros, hit probably like a shot that's still flying through the air somewhere. Like the ball is like just rocketed off me. It was like the longest home run I ever given up, I think.
That was about all he was good for, though, right? Was just hitting bombs or striking out.
Yep. Yeah. He struck out more times in one season than anybody, and then he followed it up the next year by breaking his own record. So that's pretty legit. So yeah, it was home run or strikeout with him. But yeah, which is funny because like he was the one dude I couldn't strike out. Like, so I was like, damn. Like, I mean, I had chances against other dudes that made it to the pros, and I always fared fairly well. Mark Reynolds, who broke the strikeout record, I couldn't strike him out though.
Yeah, I wish I would have paid more attention to teams that we played. I know, like, none of the high school teams we played had. I know a kid from the neighboring school went D1 and was like the MAC player of the month one time, but nothing ever behind that. But
I think I was gonna say I think I only noticed because I came in halfway through the year because like I played in Nebraska as well, but like the only kid I remember from that was, and it's only because we have the same last name. It's the only reason I remember him. And so it was Alex Gordon, who played for the Royals. So there was a year where I played against or with every player, all the top 3 picks in one draft year. I think it was Justin Verlander, Alex Gordon, and I think Justin Upton. And I had played with or against all of those guys.
That's awesome. We I don't even remember what year it was, but I remember we're right next to the South Bend. They used to be the Silverhawks, but now they're the South Bend Cubs. They're the Cubs single A affiliate. But when Justin Upton went there to play against them, he was, because they were the Diamondbacks affiliate then. So yeah. He was there for a little while. We used to go to games quite a bit to watch him play.
Yeah, he's good. I always thought he was better than his brother, but his brother obviously got more pub to start with because he was like the older brother. But
Right.
BJ Upton was like, I knew his career wasn't going to go the way it should have because after he got drafted, but before he signed his contract, I played in an adult league with him. All they would let him do was hit. They wouldn't let him field. So he'd sit in the dugout, and it was after I hurt my arm, but I was back from college, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to college. And I was like just sitting on this like 5-gallon bucket, and he's in the dugout on like a cell phone, like probably like 3 feet from me. And he's just like talking. He's like, blah, blah, like, and he like looks at his phone and he's like, I'm gonna have to let you go. He's like, I think I'm about to go bat. And he like hangs the phone up and he's like, hey girl, what's up? And then he was like, yeah, we're gonna get drunk tonight. We're gonna get hammered, like blah, blah, blah. Hangs the phone up. I was like, you weren't about to bet. And then his agent was like kind of like 3 people down talking to somebody. He was like, hey, he's like, who are you on the phone with? He was like, oh, he's like, I hung up on Boggs. He's like, I had to talk to Jennifer. I was like, you just hung up on Wade Boggs. Fuck. Like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, you're an idiot.
Wow.
I was like, this is not going to go well. I just know it's not going to go well. And then like, I think it was like maybe a year and a half later, he got the DUI when he was in Durham. And then just his career never quite panned out the way he was a really good player. A lot of people don't know him and David Wright actually played third base shortstop for Hickory High School. And then BJ Upton went to, I think it was like Norfolk Collegiate, I think. And then so on his Wikipedia will show he came out of high school from there. But like him and David Wright were like the third base shortstop for like my junior year for Hickory High School. So like they should have like really been like ridiculously good, but just never lived up to potential.
He was very good. He got hurt a lot. He was awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because like I say it's why I'm starting to feel old because like Ryan Zimmerman was like he won the title this year with the Nats, but then it's like maybe he'll retire and he came back and I was like, damn, I was like, I'm oldest. My career would almost be over like if I did make it. Like, like if I had a really good career, it'd almost be over. It'd probably be over by now anyway. But like although I guess pitchers kind of can hold on a little bit longer sometimes depending on how it goes for them. But yeah, it's wild though, like just to watch those dudes. But yeah, you can see some of those things like where you're like, yeah, your head is not in the right spot, and that's not going to be good for you. Like, so it's a bad go for him. So for you in Indiana, are you a Hoosier, Indiana Hoosiers fan? Hoosier, I cannot pronounce Hoosiers for some reason.
IU basketball was my favorite. Notre Dame football. And still, I'm IU basketball and Notre Dame football, but I also basically anti-Purdue is what I would say.
Anti-Purdue.
I love Notre Dame and I love IU. Do not like Purdue.
That's fair enough, though. I mean, I guess like I never really realized like Purdue was really in Indiana until like I was like way later in life because I remember like Conzo Martin like hitting 3-pointers on like Michigan State and stuff, but I was like Purdue. I was like I don't even know where that's at. Like. I thought maybe like Pennsylvania, maybe it's because it started with a P or something. But like, then I was like, when I found out later on, the only reason I found out was because I had to send my brother's an artist. And so like I have a little bit of artistic talent and I love football. And that one year, I don't know if you remember, you might have been too young, but Sports Illustrated did like, it had LeVar Arrington on the cover. And it was like the top 10 players to watch or whatever. And Drew Brees was in there. And I love Drew Brees. Like I was like, when he was at Purdue, I was just like, man, he's really good. And he was like kind of short. And I was like really short at the time. And I played football and I was like, I'm never going to grow. I was like 5'4". And so like I reached out to him and I was like, I found his email on their college page. Like, cause back then they had college directories and you could just type in Drew Brees and it would give you his fucking email. Like the most ridiculous shit ever. So I like emailed him and I was like, hey, Mr. Breeze, like if I sent you like artwork, would that be cool? Would you mind signing it? And then you can have the original. So me and my brother tag team this artwork, send it to the address he gave me, and it came back signed. And like that was the first time I was like, oh, Purdue's in Indiana.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 45 minutes. I've had fun at Purdue. I just never root for them.
It's so funny. Like I was just like, man, I can't. And then the funny thing was I was listening to a friend of the show for Pat McAfee, Dan Orlowski. I didn't realize Dan Orlowski was going to go to Michigan State, but then decided not to because I guess Jeff Smoker And then his backup, he was actually going to commit to Purdue, but then Kyle Orton got his letter of intent in quicker. So that's why Dan ended up at UConn. So Dan Orlovsky almost was the quarterback who took over for Drew Brees, because Drew Brees was, I guess, like the guy who showed him around campus, like, and was
Really?
like, yeah. I can't remember what podcast. I think it was like one of these, it was some smaller podcast, not the Pat McAfee show, but I was like, oh man, I was like, Dan Orlovsky could have been a Michigan State quarterback. That would have been cool. And then I was like, oh, he could have been a Purdue quarterback. Like, I didn't realize he had like all of those scholarship offers, but I guess he did. And then obviously the Lions ended up taking him.
That's kind of interesting to go from Michigan State and Purdue to UConn, because UConn football has never been in much of anything, I don't think.
No, so I think the reason he stated he went to UConn was so he's from Connecticut, but UConn was like had just become like a Division I team, and he was like, I'm gonna get to play all 4 years basically. So he was like, if I go there, I'm gonna play all 4 years, and I guess he just figured he would have the numbers, and he did. I mean, he got drafted out of there.
It worked out for him, yeah.
So he's good on TV. I like him on TV too.
Yeah, he's very good.
I like how people always try to troll him with like the running out of the end zone thing. Though, like no matter what he says, it's in every single thing. He'll like give this great breakdown, and they'll be like, "What do you know?" And then they'll just post the GIF of him running out. It's like, come on, guys! Like, you could do that with every quarterback at some point,
right? Like Mark Sanchez's butt fumble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got like a new show too. I think I just saw it like with like some comedian. I think he's doing some.
Apparently, if you're an NFL quarterback, you can just parlay that into being some sort of media personality.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would think. I mean, I that's the thing is like it seems like anybody who's touched a football like from under the center can do it. I mean, I guess maybe not like punters. Not every punter can, but like if you're a quarterback, yeah, like they're like, oh, you're the face of the franchise at some point.
Is it Jay Feely? That's the other like specialist that is on.
Yeah, Jay Feely, yeah,
reporter,
and he's an idiot too. He seems like you listen to him talking, you're like, that's why I love Pat though. Pat is like very much like in the media realm, but he's also just like still kind of says what he wants,
right? Which
is kind of funny, like that. Like people like see it like so. He just did the XFL thing, and I remember seeing like somebody posted a picture, and they're like, Pat McAfee's like 10 yards behind the play, like on the field, like he's literally standing on the field, and it's like. And I'm like, that's Pat. That's like, and everyone's like, oh, Pat's great. Like, he's awesome. And I'm like, really? He's just doing what like any fan would do. Because I think he just like, he's like, why form into this corporate like mindset and just be part of the pack? He's like, what's going to set you apart is just being authentic, you know? Because I'm sure a lot of these guys, if they just like let the reins off, would probably be way better. But
right.
They're so scared to like lose their job or something.
The best part about the XFL is them just interviewing players right after they do something stupid. Like Mark King had a punt that like bounced and stopped at the half yard line. And some dude went running down there because he thought it got touched and just plowed it in the end zone. So it was a touchback. And like Pat just like, immediately was like, I have to find this guy. He's like, what happened? He's like, I thought it touched him.
Yeah, that's the best part though. Like, yeah, like the in-state interviews. I think, but this is the thing. Like, a lot of people. I think it was an article a couple months ago, and it was like all the things the original XFL like gave to the NFL. Like, I've totally forgot the Skycam thing came from XFL.
Did it really?
Yeah, like the Skycam was like originally used in the XFL. That was the first time that it had been seen. And it's like
I thought the only thing that came from the XFL was like Tommy Maddox winning Super Bowl MVP or something.
Just Tommy Maddox definitely came from the XFL, which is, I think a lot of these guys will, but it's a viable option. And I think I talked about it with, maybe it was Logan or it was Brent. We were talking about it, previous guests. Get your thoughts on this too. So with this new, like, college players being allowed to like profit off their likenesses and stuff. And then you have the athletes that probably don't really want to go to college anyway. And the XFL doesn't have a 3-year rule. So
is there any rule?
No. So you can go straight from high school to the XFL if you really want to. So I'm like, at some point, do they get those players that can't get their grades up or don't want to even try to get their grades? And then maybe that's their in to have these players. They're basically there for a couple of years until they can go to the pros.
Maybe like that. that seems to make sense. I guess you don't have anything to fall back on then if you end up sucking. It's kind of like the NBA players that just go straight to Europe for a year and then come back.
Big now, yeah, that's a big for them. A lot of those one and done guys that are like, I'm just one and doneing this. I don't even want to go to class. Like, I'm going to go just make money. And those other teams over in foreign countries pay them really well because they're a draw. They're a massive draw over there. So so it's like, yeah, why not? You just take advantage of it. That's why I was like, I wonder. No one's really said anything in the media, but like when I looked at it, I looked at the rules, and there's no rule, no 3-year rule. So I'm like, and it's not a like a college rule or anything that like comes over. The NFL's rule agreement with college, but there's no agreement with the XFL. So it's like,
if it sticks around, I'm sure that somebody's going to go that route like fairly quickly. And then whether the XFL changes their rules or not, it'll just that'll depend on it.
I feel like McMahon's a good enough businessman. He'll definitely just be like, no, like, I mean, that's our in, or they'll figure it out somehow that like, that's the thing. Maybe someone will listen to this podcast and be like, hey, you know who we should do? No one will listen to this podcast, but not Vince McMahon for sure. No. But like, it's funny because like, there's so many things that like, I think fans like us go talk about that. Like, I think if like you were able to, like, for instance, our anomalies chat, if like an executive for any company like was just able to like eavesdrop into that thing, like they'd probably be like, man, there are so many good ideas in here. Like, why aren't we doing these things? Because I think
how are these morons coming up with some of this stuff?
Because I think that's the thing that gets overlooked is like the standard person is actually probably way smarter, and they're also more of a fan of the actual product than like somebody who's an executive per se, like who's just like thinking about making money, and so they overthink a lot of that stuff. Like, I think that's why Pat McAfee works also really well, because he looks at it as a perspective of I'm not trying to fit into that corporate thing. I'm trying to make the thing I love better, and so like I'll go at it from that range. But yeah, obviously has more than everybody else that's a fan.
The good thing about Pat is he's got like good. I don't know if it's morals or what, but like if he doesn't like something, he will tell them. Like, he almost walked out at WrestleMania last year on the WWE. Like, if he doesn't like it, he's not doing it.
He's like, you know what? No. That's why I think Pat is so great though, because he's just really authentic and just awesome. Speaking of Pat, are you still blocked by Pat?
Yeah, I have no idea why. It happened when he went to go after he canceled the tours, and I said absolutely nothing bad about it or anything.
I think I've heard the story. So you were like lumped in with somebody who was saying something, but you were somehow got tagged on it.
I don't know if I got lumped in by somebody else that was freaking out about it or not. Because I said like, I can't wait to see the content that comes out from that Pro-Am or whatever he was playing in and down behind the mug. And I don't know if I have no idea what happened. I just happened to notice like on Instagram or something, he said something about the Scottie Pippen, or he said it on the podcast about the Scottie Pippen content that.
Oh yeah.
So I go on Twitter and I look and I'm like, what in the fuck happened here?
So like, blocked by Pat McAfee.
Yeah. I mean, I have more than one Twitter, not like a burner, but I have Twitter for other shit too. So like, I still see this stuff. It's just annoying, especially if somebody shares something in the group. Then I'm like, all right, now I gotta go back and find this.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. So if we share a Pat McAfee thing in our group, you can't see it. Oh,
right.
Oh shit!
I have absolutely no idea what happened.
I didn't even think about that. That's so funny. Oh shit, that's crazy. So here's the thing. I'll just say here, I'm gonna clip this. So Pat McAfee, I know you follow me on Twitter. I don't know why, but on block Jems, he's a great guy.
Thank you. I hope you don't get blocked now. I didn't like black out in that period of time. Like there was no like alcohol induced blackout that I was like motherfucking him or anything, which I didn't. I would never. I don't know. I think he's incredible. Like the show. I was
gonna say you love Pat McAfee. You're always talking very greatly of him in our group chat.
Right. I didn't stop listening to the show or anything. I am way behind on a lot of stuff, but that's just because of work. Like most of my podcasting listening to just happens in the crane. I just put the speaker on and listen. But I've been in the crane with somebody else for the last like 8 months learning this new job.
That's how it is when I get like work with at work. I'm like, I'm driving in the truck and I'm like, damn, I just want to be listening to a podcast right now. Like, I don't really want to be in here with this guy.
But I'll qualify in this job in the next couple of weeks, so
and then you'll be back on the grind. And you can. And the good thing is I'm sure your shifts are probably at least 8 hours.
12.
Okay, so you can make up a lot of podcast time that way.
Definitely.
So you'll be like, I'm caught up now, like in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long. I had gotten so far ahead before that I was listening to because I was kind of late to the Pat show. Like I followed him on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, but I didn't start listening to it up until he started 2.0.
Yeah.
So I could find all the Heartlands, the old Heartlands. I couldn't find any of his stuff.
Yeah.
I probably didn't look enough. But I started re-listening. I made it 70 episodes into the old Heartland. That's how far ahead I used to be.
Yeah, see, that's a crazy thing. Yeah, that's how I get. So every now and then I'll be like, that's why when people are like, there's too many podcasts. And I'm like, man, there's not enough podcasts. Like I go through so many podcasts a week. Like I'm just like, I always try to find one. I have my regulars, like obviously Pat, Heartland, The Anomalies, 31 podcast with Brant, a bunch of other ones that I have regulars. And then I pick and choose the Joe Rogans that I listen to. Like I don't always listen to all of his, but yeah, there's ones where I'll go and then I'll see if they have any interesting episodes. But then there's sometimes I find myself listening to podcasts that I would never listen to. Like if I had actual other things, but I'm just like, oh, it's actually kind of interesting to find out something random because you just get so far ahead.
Yeah, that 1041 one I think is going to be pretty good.
That's Todd's. I think that's right in Todd's wheelhouse. It's perfect.
Yeah, those true crime podcasts are kind of awesome. Like my wife listens to My Favorite Murder, which is the second most popular podcast out, and it's hilarious. I've never listened to it on my own merit, but anytime we're in the car, she's got it playing.
Nice.
But the true crime stuff I love. I spent the last probably handful of things I've watched on Netflix have all been true crime docs.
I'm still so behind. I still got to I got to watch the Aaron Hernandez one. I still haven't gotten around to it.
I just watched that. It's good.
I know you were talking about it in the group, and then last I heard of it, I was making fun of Tanner for CT or whatever, and then
right.
And then
on the AP train that says it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean that's spoken like a true Packers fan. Just totally was like, oh yeah, no, CT is no thing. Right. Tanner's going to be like, no, I didn't say CT wasn't a thing. I just don't think it's contributed to the same amount of things that whatever his excuse is. But
I don't expect Tanner to listen to this episode because there's too much Lions talk.
Oh yeah, for sure. Straight off the bat too. He'll be like, I'll say something nice about Aaron Rodgers right here in the middle. Aaron Rodgers is a really good quarterback. I wouldn't want to be good quarterback, but I mean, I'd rather have Matt Stafford because he's better. But
so before the season started, you had made a prediction last year that Matthew Stafford could win MVP.
Yeah.
And granted, the Lions ended up sucking, but that was after he went out.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, they were pretty decent. And he was some good year. The Packers game that he was in that we got hosed on by some bad calls, and also the Chiefs game where that guy probably didn't. We definitely were down before that guy ran a 99-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. We could have won both those games. So we were 5-1 when Stafford went out, but whatever.
He was very well could have led the league in passing yards too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he definitely came through for me. He's had a great season. I think under Patricia and that style, I think he's fitted for it. If they I would just wish they would throw the ball a little bit more. I know that sounds counterproductive, but it's do the Brady thing, shorter passes for your run game. It seems like we just try to hand the ball to our running back, run up the middle. You get 2 yards, and then it's 2 and 8, and then maybe sometimes they try to run it again, and then it's 3 and 7, and then Stafford has to make a play out of his ass on 3 and 7, and it's you're only going to be so good at those spots because they know you're passing.
Well, they're overcompensating for not running the ball for years.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, we need to get our running game up. So now they're doing that. And then, you know what I miss is Theo Riddick. I love catching 110 passes a year.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is we were really good in those years. And then the year we went to the playoffs with that, we got screwed over by the Cowboys picking up the offensive or the defense pass interference call. That was the year I think we had Joyt Bell and Bush, and they both caught a bunch of balls out of the backfield together. And they could also get the short yardage too, which helped. But I mean, we were passing probably more than ever during those times, and we were doing great.
You don't let Stafford.
Yeah,
just let him make the decision. If he wants to give the ball to carry on, good. If not, he can throw it to Galladay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like those guys totally got underlooked this year too. Galladay, I think, went in as an alternate for the Pro Bowl, and he like led the league in touchdowns.
Yeah, and he had over 100. I know it's the Pro Bowl, but he had over 100 receiving yards in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Matt Stafford was a Pro Bowl MVP. So
yeah,
I mean, we have players like it's just I just sometimes I don't think we use them right. And then speaking of players, what do you think about Slay? Do you think we should re-sign him?
Yes.
He's asking for a lot of money.
Yeah, is he a free agent now? Or
I haven't checked into it. I know he wants a big contract. I don't know if he's going into his last year or if he's like a restricted free agent or what. But I should probably check into that. But I saw he wanted something like 18 million or something like that. Which I mean, he's good. He's probably deserves it.
I would like to keep him around for a while. And then if they end up with Okuda and they have both those guys,
yeah,
that would be awesome if Okuda pans out. But like,
yeah, well, that'd be an ideal situation though, because then you could pay him less because he'll be on rookie contract, and then maybe compensate for Slay.
You could probably give Slay a decent amount of money for a couple of years, but then like, I think Slay is awesome, but then I'm concerned like Josh Norman and Darrelle Revis kind of fizzled out when they were like top dogs.
Yeah. It's tough.
There's an age where they drop or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that like Pat says, I know he said it with like Darius Butler on the show, like that slight misstep, like when you start slowing down a little bit, like they're like he says, cornerbacks are like the most athletic players on the field because they have to be going backwards, covering the guys that most people think are the most athletic on the field. And I mean, so it's like, you lose a little step. I mean, that's why I think those guys fall off so hard when they do fall off, because it's just like, at least hopefully, like you'd see Vontae Davis. I mean, that dude just checked out at halftime. I mean, dude, that's so fun. I think of that every time I think of like a cornerback. I'm like, do we sign him? Because I know as a young fan, I was like, sign them all, like get them all in here. Although I'm a proponent, I think I've said it with Flegs on the Anomalies podcast. I'm a proponent of like English Premier League style salary. I don't care if your owner wants to spend the money, let him spend the money. Or
not bad.
Or the other way, which is take the quarterback out of the cap.
I like that one. I think I like that. If you take
the quarterback out of the cap and you allow them to make like up to like 33% of the cap. So whatever, if the cap's 150 million, they can make 50 million. But it just doesn't count against the cap. That's the way they do it in the NBA, where like they have the veteran league minimum. Like they can pay like a guy like who's been around for 8 years, like $7 million, but he counts as like 350,000 against the cap or whatever, however they have it.
Right. And then I think their team can offer them the most. Like I think the max contract from
bird rights stuff
is the highest that it can be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the bird rights rule basically. If you're the team that has them, which is also cool, and then it also that I think that should maybe if they did that and they just didn't count it as like the full blown cap, so like it would be like a cap limit. Like if you decide to max out your guys that you drafted, because for me, I think about it. I'm like the Steelers could have easily avoided the Bell Brown probably situation if they were able to pay them.
Right.
And then we'd still have like probably top level Bell and probably not crazy Antonio Brown. Well, maybe still crazy Antonio Brown. I don't know.
I don't know. Something happened in Pittsburgh. I don't know what was.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. But yeah, I mean, but those kind of things you're just like, and as a fan of the sport, like I love free agency. Like, so WNBA is like just hit its free agency mark right now. So like, players for the first time, really players are actually able to move teams because the way they have the CBA structured before, they could like do some weird shit and keep players for like ever almost. It was very strange, but like they're actually like had like 3 big free agent signings. I love that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, it's hard to keep your team like invested or your fans invested when you're like, do I go buy this jersey? Cause this guy could be off the team in like 2 years. Like, right. So like, I feel like some of the revenue you lose out on by just not having those homegrown talent that you're like, that dude's going to be here for 8 years,
I don't know a ton about the WNBA, but I did see a tweet today. I think is Las Vegas have a team?
Yep. Yeah.
they just signed like 4 number 1 draft picks, like 4 people that were drafted first overall.
So
or they have them.
Yeah, so they have last year or not last year's first overall pick, the year before, So Asia Wilson, I'm totally blanking on names right now, and I watched. They're like my second favorite team because they have Bill Laimbeer as their coach. Man, but anyway, so they have the last 3 first overall picks, and then Angel McCourtney she was the first round pick for the Dream, and she hit free agency, and so they signed her. So now they have 4 number 1 picks, and they also their other player in their starting 5 is number 2 overall pick.
Wow.
So they're a pretty stacked team. They went pretty far last year. So they which is actually a little bit more impressive when you think that the league's been around. They're going to the 24th year. So like really they have like 12% of the first round picks ever drafted in history of the sport. So, but they only have 12 teams, which is part of it. So, I mean, when you have 12 teams, I think they need to expand. It's kind of time, but they just got a new CBA done. So maybe that'll expand it, but I don't know. As us Lions fans, just because you have so many top picks doesn't mean you're going to win anything. But I guess it's a little different in basketball where they have 12 players instead of 53. So,
right.
But yeah, so speaking of WNBA, since I just segued into it, my daughters were my last guest. One of my daughter's questions was, who is your favorite WNBA player? And since you don't know a ton about WNBA, I will allow you to pick your favorite NBA player.
I'll go WNBA. I think she's still in the league.
Yeah.
Graduated the same year I did from the high school, like one of the high schools next to us. So I watched her play in high school, and then she went to Notre Dame. Skylar Diggins.
Skylar Diggins.
Does she still play?
Yes, she does. Yeah, she plays for the Dallas Wings, and she will. I haven't even checked because free agency got crazy, and I was trying to get this all set up. But I think she's trying to get traded because I think she's unhappy being in Dallas because they didn't. Huh. So that number 2 pick that I was talking about, Liz Cambage, she played for the Dallas Wings, and then she held out till she got traded to the Aces. They thought she was going to go to LA, but then she went to the Aces, the Las Vegas team. And so Skylar Diggins was out most of last year. I think maybe all of last year. She had a kid, and then she was upset with the fact that they didn't try to harder to accommodate Liz Cambage, because Liz Cambage is 6'9", and she's a beast. She's really good. She has the WNBA single game scoring record for 58 points or something like that. So yeah, so she's just upset with the franchise, so she's trying to get out of there, I think. But I'm hoping she comes to my Mystics because I'm a Washington Mystics fan. So
does Brittany Griner still play?
She does. Yeah, she plays for the Mercury.
Is she good?
Yeah. She's always real. She's 6'8". She's perennial all-star. They just didn't. The Mercury didn't play super well. Diana Taurasi was out for most of the year last year with a back injury.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So she's up there. And then the Seattle Storm won the year before, and Brianna Stewart tore her ACL or Achilles in Euro League, so she didn't play any. She was the reigning MVP, which goes to show you how the WNBA really needs to pay their players more so they don't play over in the Euro League and get hurt.
Right.
But I mean, could you imagine if Patrick Mahomes played in the XFL right now and fucking tore his ACL and was out next year?
Right.
It'd be
I know a little more about the women's basketball because my father-in-law is a huge Notre Dame women's basketball fan. So we lived with them for a year. So and anytime we're over there, if it's during the season, then he's got the games on. So I sort of know a little bit, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I was gonna say you're a Notre Dame fan. Notre Dame has a lot of really good WNBA players. So,
I know Arike is around there somewhere, probably.
Yeah. She's actually with the Dallas Wings too.
Is she?
Yeah, so you should be a Dallas Wings fan because they have 9. Well, I guess Diggins is probably out of there, but like I said, they have a lot of Notre Dame players. So yeah, but it's So that was question number 1. So you said Skylar Diggins. Well, so yeah, we were able to answer that. My other daughter's question was, "Who is your favorite singer?"
Singer or band, or does it matter?
I think it's just in general, favorite musician, basically. So band, whatever.
So I guess that's kind of tough because most of the time, like in the car or the crane, I'm listening to a podcast or sports talk radio.
Same with me.
Growing up, my dad is from from Wisconsin, but graduated high school in Tennessee. So like he liked a lot of the Southern rock.
Okay.
So like probably growing up, Leonard Skinner was my favorite, and I would say I still now can rock out to some Skinner.
Nice. I mean, that's a solid answer.
But like if I go to Pandora, like my Pandora like mix or not mix, but like just station list is just pretty random. Like it'll go from like Leonard Skinner to like Macklemore to like Taking Back Sunday to Lil Wayne. Like I'm just all over the place, and then country's in there too.
Nice. So I'm finding out more and more that we would get along great because that's basically how mine is. It's like singer songwriter. Like it would go from like Mumford and Son to like Dashboard Confessional to like some black metal band to like country, like literally like probably Blake Shelton, I would assume, like because that's what they put on country, but to Macklemore to like, it's all across the board.
I usually just go to like that thumbprint radio on there or whatever, and it'll just play on stations.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Ones I forget that are on there.
Yeah, I have a lot of random ones because like so I have really good friends who have their own Pandora stations because they're like they've done enough in the music industry. Actually, my hat I have on right now is Carter Halsey, so he has his own Pandora station. He's like an Americana kind of like rock. He actually does. I'm trying to get him on the podcast. He actually does some really cool stuff, but he's based out of Nashville, and so like his stuff is like very because he toured with like those like. I wouldn't say pop punk, but like that kind of. Have you ever heard of the band Never Shout Never? So like the dude plays like a ukulele. He's like tatted up, but he plays like a ukulele and like sings like he also plays guitar, but he like sings like kind of like it was like pop emo sort of like it was a lot of like 13 to 18-year-old girls at the show. So like it goes to that, but then it also is like Southern rock and like there's like his page is really eclectic. So it's like that plus then like all of my other stuff just makes it really like nuts, like across like Ben Rector and like stuff like that, like will come up and it's just all over the place. Andy Grammer will pop in there. It's just like, okay, well, I just got a little bit of everything, I guess, like over here. Right. So, and then I'm sure my kids have jacked my playlist up over time too with all the stuff they listen to. So
yeah, every once in a while I'll get, it'll switch to the kids song station.
Yeah. You're like, why is Baby playing right now?
Yeah. I'm pretty good. She's really good about not asking for songs in my car because we always just have sports radio on. I don't listen to the podcast with her in the car. She's such a where she repeats stuff. Yeah. But but in my wife's car, she like freaks out and wants songs. So I was like, see, you did this. Like she doesn't do it in my car.
My wife's the same way. She's like, the kids always ask for the radio. And I'm like, we get in and we drive, say we have to go to Denver for like one of our daughter's games. She's like, can you play blah, blah, blah. Now they're starting to get better music taste. Like, I think on the podcast I did with my one daughter is like in an Eminem like wormhole right now, like just listening to Eminem, everything. And we're like, there's a lot of inappropriate stuff, just so you know, like we'll let you listen to it. Cause we try to be cool parents. We're like, you know what? You're 11 and 12. You're probably hearing some of the stuff at school. If you don't know what it is and you want to ask us so you don't say something stupid. But like, you're going to hear inappropriate stuff. So, but my wife is like, she loves Eminem too. So I'm like, whatever. I'm from Detroit, so I think I'm from Lansing, Michigan. So I think I have to be a fan of Eminem just by.
Well, I'm like, would you say you're 37? So that's like 37. Right in your wheelhouse.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like 9 or 10 when he got big, but I was still pretty big into Eminem. Like, growing up. So
well, I was gonna say you hit the run because I think my junior year, I remember getting the first Eminem CD, and that was like when he came out with like and then he hit a little run for like about 10 years. So I guess he probably took you into high school with
he took me into high school, and then like at the beginning of college, I think is when he started like not doing much.
And then those songs were so classic at that point. And then he also spawned like the 50 Cent era. So then it kind of felt like he was still around with all that stuff. So so he was just like omnipresent. But
when he popped up at the Oscars the other night.
I know that was my thing. I was driving my daughter to basketball practice yesterday, and she's like, "Dad, you need to watch the Oscars," because that was the day I had like that 14-hour day, and I didn't watch anything. And she was like, and I had already seen it on Twitter that he had popped up, and she's like, "You gotta see, it was really good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what part was really good?" And I just knew she was gonna be like, "Eminem showed up," and sure enough, that's what she said. It was so funny. I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "He has an Oscar." Like,
right, I didn't realize that, and then he wasn't even there to accept it. So he said this was the first time he'd been there,
which is crazy when you think about it. Like, I think it's like the one that I'm like a weirdo when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, there's like very few people who have like, it's like a Tony, Oscar, Grammy, and there's something else. It's like there's like, there's 4 awards, and I can't remember what the 4th one is right now. But I think it's the initials of it. It's like Tony, Oscar.
Right, it's an acronym. Tony, Oscar, Grammy, and
what is the other big one?
Emmy? Is it an EGOT?
EGOT. Yeah, it's the EGOT. Yeah, and then there's like only like a handful of people that have done it, or maybe there's like 19 or 15 or something like that. But
right,
it's like always weird when like people like that like cross over and they like have like multiple. I'm like, how good do you have to? Even if it's somebody you don't like enjoy, like you're like, how you have to be like pretty well respected to win awards. I mean, as we know, like listening to the Pat McAfee show, awards can sometimes be skewed in other directions. Right. But like to be that respected across and get all those awards is nuts. It's like,
I think my favorite Oscar winner ever is 3 6 Mafia.
I was just getting ready to say, like, then again, 3 6 Mafia has one. So yeah, and I think the title of that, I think there's like, isn't Ho in the title of the song or something like that? Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's a line in there. But it's like definitely it's a song about pimping. So it's like it's pretty fun. Hustle and Flow, I think, is the name of the song, isn't it? Maybe not. Maybe that's the name of this movie it came from.
It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp.
Yeah, okay, Pimp's in the yeah, that won an Oscar.
Awesome.
You're like documentaries about pimps. No, just kidding. No, but yeah, so it's funny like when you have those awards that pop up. Like my daughter was like, "Dad, did you know Toy Story 4 won Best Animated Cartoon at the Oscars?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, duh." Like it's Toy Story. Of course it won. Like it was out.
As it should.
Yeah. And then I know Parasite won a bunch of stuff. I still haven't seen it. I know the guys talk about it on Heartland a bunch, but I
haven't either. I don't want to read for 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm a documentary person, like also like that's documentary and like comedy specials is where I kind of lean. So
yeah,
I just like, I'm like, I want to laugh. Like if I'm consuming something, like I don't want to really be like, I'm like, I got like, there's enough drama in real life. Like I don't want to,
right.
I don't want to deal with like watching somebody else go through some drama on TV. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'll watch like the superhero movies and stuff, like that kind of stuff. But like that has like some drama in it, I guess. But it's all like cartoonish, sort of to me.
Right. There's a lot of stuff on Disney Plus that I'm gonna have to start. Like I've never seen any Star Wars, and I've seen like 3 Marvels, and I'm going to watch them at some point. Just because I feel like I have to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say the Marvel ones are, I think, more important. You should start with the Marvel ones. Like definitely.
Yeah. The thing with Star Wars is I used to make fun of like my friends that were balls deep into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like I'm fine watching it now, and I think it's more so I can get references, like when people say stuff, rather than me responding with "you're a nerd" or something like that. Like I would like to pipe back or whatever. But
that was me with The Office. Like I didn't watch The Office until like maybe 4 years ago, and like so people would like use GIFs, and I was like, motherfucker, like I get the gist of it, but I'm like, but now like when I use it, I'm like, oh, like I know exactly the moment in the show because I watched. Me and my wife were like, I guess we should probably watch something, and we're like, what do we want to watch? And we're like TV series, and I was like, have you seen The Office? She's like, nope, and I was like, we should probably watch that. I guess like people say you should watch that. Like,
yeah, so I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times. I think.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know why I didn't want. I say it to my wife all the time. I was like, I don't know if I could have been a fan watching it show by show.
Like, it was tough.
I don't know that my wife would have been like, I'm going to tune in at 8:00 on NBC, whatever it was on, to watch this. But
The first season is tough.
Yeah.
Like once you get through that, then it's pretty good. I didn't watch it live until like the last season or two. Like I got all caught up on Netflix with it, and then I watched it live.
Yeah.
I mean, DVR'd it, but
you're like definitely not live still. Yeah. See, that's how my wife watches like almost everything. Like it's like she DVRs everything, and then she'll watch like 4 episodes in a row or whatever. My daughters crack me up because they DVR stuff. So this is gonna be hilarious. You have a daughter, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So she's really young though.
Yeah, she's 3.
Yeah. So my daughters are 11 and 12. This was the first year for some reason they were both like, you know what we want a DVR? The Bachelor. So like me and my wife don't watch The Bachelor. Like neither of us have ever watched it or watched The Bachelorette or any of that stuff. So we don't even know where it came from. We're like, kids are just like, we want to watch The Bachelor. So they'll be up in my daughter's room watching The Bachelor, and I'll like walk past to like put something in the laundry, and I'm like, what are you guys watching? Like The Bachelor. And I'm like, I know it's DVR'd. Why are you guys watching the commercials? They never think to fast forward through the commercials. So they literally watch it like you would on TV.
That's funny.
It's the most comical thing.
I forget that like my daughter shows are DVR'd, so like we'll put on. She's like big into Peppa Pig right now.
Okay.
So, and we'll just be watching it, and I'm like, I guess I could fast forward through these commercials.
Yeah. You're like, I guess I don't need to watch these commercials about Pampers or whatever's on there. They show the same like 3 commercials on those channels too.
Oh yeah, Nickelodeon and Disney Junior. Yeah, the same commercials.
I've gotten to the point where my son watches. So Disney Plus is coming in clutch with Muppet Babies. My son's big on the Muppet Babies right now, so like I can put it on and there's no commercials, so it's like great. So it's just like, and I don't have to worry about fast forwarding to commercials.
I think I hear Puppy Dog Pals right now in the other room.
Puppy Dog Pals. Yeah, that one cracks me up because I don't know. So I know you are younger than me, so you might not remember. Do you remember? Have you ever seen Half Baked?
I have not seen it. I know it's Chris Tucker and Jim Brewer. Not Chris Tucker.
Jim Brewer, Dave Chappelle, Harlan Williams, and
Harlan Williams is the goofy the Bob.
He created Puppy Dog Pals,
right?
Which cracks me up because like he's like literally like a stoner comedian, and he has like a successful kid show.
Yeah, and she loves it. Like it's one of the better ones, I think, though. Too.
It is a better one. I would say like if my son watches it, he kind of like burned himself out on it. He has like both the dogs as like little like stuffed animals, but he's like, oh, yeah. So he went through his run with that. But every now and then he'll be like, Puppy Dog Pals.
Yep.
But then he started.
She kind of did that.
Yeah, he started reciting all the lines, and then I'm like, okay, like you've watched this way too much.
Yeah. Children's show talk here. There's this new one that she's been watching called Bluey. It's like these Australian dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like I can handle it. And there's sometimes they make jokes that like cater to the parents a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So. Yeah, I'm trying to think of that was I saw that one, but I can't think of it. So we have friends that live down the street, and they have 2 sons that are like 5, and they're like the best kids, or maybe they're 4. They're like the best kids ever. Like they're awesome, but apparently they're twins. But I guess maybe it's not that. Maybe it's another one. But they're Australian, I think, in the show. But I guess like there's one thing. There's this one episode where it's like 2 dogs. Does that sound right, or is that?
Yeah, it's a family of dogs. There's a mom, a dad, and 2 kids.
Okay, so maybe this is the right one. But so I guess like the kids wanted to slide. One kid wanted to slide, and he just said slide for everything. But he said it like really annoying. So like when the kids I guess like they're going through this thing where like if the kids don't want to do something, the parents they'll just go slide. Like just be so it's funny to me. So I'm like, oh man, I was like, that sucks. But at the same time, like absolutely hilarious comic timing by the kids.
Right. Kids have
I'm like, you get those kids into stand up or something. But yeah, so but I think that's a big part of parenting. I think is like I wonder if how much of those kids shows I've thought about making a kid show or like writing a kid's book, because I read my kids' books and I'm like, I think I could make this book.
I've told my wife that. I was like, we need to write children's books or something, because like they these small ones, I'm sure they produce thousands.
Yeah.
I was like, we could make a killing off of just making some stupid kids book.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you could turn it into a series, like even just a series of books, I was like,
yeah, and it's all basic stuff. A lot of these are basic ones. It's like Bob goes to the yard or plays in the yard.
Right.
Like then Bob just does something else in the next book, and you're like, you just got. You're like, what? Like you just need a character, and then you just make him do stupid stuff.
Right.
Like it's like crazy. So you hear here first. Me and Jems are going to start a children's book company. It's going to be.
I like it. If I could do something where I didn't have to sit in a crane or go into a nasty steel mill for the rest of my life, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I could do the animations. So I'm like, part of me is like, I'll just make the animation, and the animations are easy because it's literally just a person. They move them slightly. I've looked at the book a billion times, and I'm like, there's nothing in the background half the time, or it's the same background. I'm like, it can't be that hard. Like,
right? Okay, I'm just gonna start writing ideas down for
just start writing ideas, and then I'll animate it, and then we'll just go on a book tour, and then this will be like a real big podcast. We'll be big authors. We'll be like bestsellers. Kids best.
Nice. It'd be like, not to the extreme, but like when you like that. What the hell is his name? That he's big into like kids like watching on YouTube. He used to people used to take dumps on his chest, but now he's like the biggest children YouTube star.
Is he? Wait, is he actually a kid?
No, he's an adult.
Is he like the Blippo guy?
Yeah.
He like wears like those glasses and he's really annoying. My son watches that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only person.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure before the videos he was making was like people shitting on his chest.
I didn't know that. Now I'm gonna go down a wormhole after this, just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. But I mean, yeah, it makes sense. J.K. Rowling was like an alcoholic before she made freaking. That's part of
billions of dollars.
Yeah, billions of dollars on. Yeah, so it just takes one idea. Just one idea.
Right. All right, children's books it is.
By the way, I'm sure we can come up with some real jacked up kids books that are like definitely funny for the parents, but also like good for the kids out of the Anomalies group. I'm sure we could pull some like gold out of there somewhere.
That's a good idea.
One of the dads
to animate.
I would say one of the dads just drinks a bunch of White Claw, and their stepdad's a trash man. Just like just write the book of the Anomalies, but just add a kid into it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh man, that sounds like a good animated series. I think we got something here, Jems. So I was gonna say we're coming up on good time. I don't want to keep you as but if there's anything else you want to discuss, let's do that. And then also I need a question from you for my next guest. So that'll take some time.
Let's see about the question. Do you know who your next guest is?
No, I never do.
Okay. Well, I guess that makes it better for the question.
I was gonna say I guess I've had one time where I knew who the guest was. That was like the only. But even then, I didn't tell the first person. So.
Right. I typically I like to hear people like talk about like the dumbest thing they've ever done. Like I've done plenty of dumb stuff back in my younger years. So like I like to hear about other people doing dumb stuff to kind of make me feel better about like decisions I've made.
That's fair enough. That is always good. It's like what is they call it? Like the Losers Club or whatever. You're like not the only one. So the question would be, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done?
Yeah.
Like choice.
Choice wise, or I guess biggest regret. Like it's not like for my biggest regret, and it's not like that big of a deal because it probably wouldn't have panned out, but like I probably should have tried to throw a submarine. Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. I think my biggest regret was in the same ballpark. I probably should have went to a Division I school where they had better coaching, and someone might have listened to me when I was like, hey, my arm's not going to handle that or whatever, and they would have taken care of me better. But that'd probably be my biggest regret. But so we can do that one. I'll give them both, biggest regret and then also dumbest thing you've ever done. So I might have to think about that one for a second. I don't know. I've done some dumb shit. Damn. I don't even know. Dumbest thing I've ever done. Dumbest thing ever. See, that's a tough one. So I've never done like the standard ones because like even as like a dumb kid, I always knew like driving drunk was not a good plan. So I never did that. I've never like I'm like the people think I'm probably like the person who people think is a psychopath, if I had to guess. Because I can, if they've been around me enough times, they've watched me down 72 drinks at the bar, and they've also seen me not drink at all. Like, so it's like, like they're like, that's not normal. So like, because I know if I'm driving, I am not even drinking anything. Like it's just that's the responsibility I take. So, dumbest thing I've ever done.
Find out next time on the Swiss Army Man.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I'll answer here because usually we have the guest who asks answer as well, and then I do it too. But I would think for me, it was something I did when I was younger. So you can't see it because I always have a beard, but I have this white scar that goes like through my lip down to like about my chin. And I rode my brother's bike. I was like 3, and I rode my brother's bike that had no training wheels. And I guess I did pretty well until I didn't do well. And then broke open my lip all the way down. And then I had a white shirt on, my mom said. And so I was just wearing a white shirt because I was super white trash. It was like just an oversized white shirt, a diaper on. I'm assuming I was probably my son's age or like a little older. And split my lip open. So I just had blood all over my white shirt. Walked in the house. My mom freaked out. My dad was like, you were actually pretty chill. Like took you and you had to get stitches and like you just sat there and took it like a champ. Like didn't cry. I'm like, I was like probably hurt so much I probably didn't even realize that.
I guess my wife took like a big wheel down or like a tricycle down the stairs as a small child too.
Damn, that's actually that's more gangster than what I did. I took like a little kid's bike and I probably made it not very far and then I just fell and hit my face right. But big wheel down the steps is pretty legit. Like, I get worried walking down the steps now. Like,
yeah,
like it's nuts. I could imagine like the thought process. She knew she was taking it down the steps.
No, I don't think so. I think she was little. She's not very coordinated either. So I'm assuming there was some lack of coordination there. Like she'll fall up the steps now. So
my wife does that. She like every day. I joke around with her. I'm like, you know what I need to invent? I need to invent steel-toed socks. So that way you don't stub your toe on everything. Every day. It's like, at some point, she's like, fuck. And I'm like, did you hit your foot? She's like, of course I did. It's the only reason I make that noise. Like, she's like, mad at me. I'm like, it's on something. It's always on the cabinet or the chair or whatever. But yeah. So,
right.
So yeah. So I got that. My wife's actually really coordinated other than that, but she just hits her toe on everything. Like I always wondered that because I'm like, if she took it down on purpose, that's pretty like daredevil-y. That's pretty, and those people always like have so much respect for me because I'm like, I don't know how people do some of that daredevil stuff because I'm like, I like where it's like it's 50-50. I could break a bone or I'm gonna land this. Like
right.
Like, that was my skateboard career. Like, it escalated to the point where people were like, we're going to jump down 7 stairs. And I'm like, I'm not. Like, just not going to do that. I love skateboarding, but like, and I'll watch it all the time. I'll like watch clips and I'm just like, man, these dudes are good, but I'm not getting off flat ground. Like, I went down like 3 steps and that was like my max. I was like, nope, not doing that. You're gonna slide down the handrail now? Nope. That doesn't seem safe.
I want to have children. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So I've always been like, I'll push myself a little bit past the normal, but I ain't not getting into that daredevil stage. So I guess that's a good one. The dumbest thing you ever did. Did you ever do anything? So I guess we'll make this the last question. Did you ever do anything super stupid like a skateboarding, try something like that, or jump off a ramp, or like do a rope swing into the freaking lake, or something incredibly dumb like that? That's like one of those things where you're like, it's a standard staple of like being a youth, but also it's in retrospect like the thing you would, if you saw your kid doing it, you'd be scared shitless.
I I didn't do a ton of stuff like that, like little bike jumps and shit like that, or taking like, going down the hill, standing up on a sled, just dumb stuff, not anything crazy. We did have a family friend that had a pond with a rope swing, so I would swing off of that. And I don't think
I thought Indiana was like that. I was like, Indiana's got to have something like that.
We had the rope swing, and it was fine flipping off into that. And I'm sure at first my mom was nervous, but like I feel like after you've done it a few times, you're probably good.
Yeah.
So I think anytime your kids probably do something for the first time where there's a little bit of sketchiness, you're like, yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. My wife is like debated. We've gone back and forth. He's young still, but I'm like, I want my kid if he wants to play football, I'm gonna let my kid play football. My wife is like, I can't watch him play football. My wife loves football too. Like she is a hard Colts fan, like die hard. Like she's screaming at the screen, like dude's like, she's gonna hate that I say this, but like dude will get hit and he'll be like, oh, did your vagina get hurt? Like she's like talking shit to the players, like hardcore. Like, and I'm like, but you won't let our kid play? And she's like, well, no, because I don't want my kid to get hit like that. And I'm like, so yeah, I understand that aspect of it. I thought about one of the questions for this podcast because I think I just don't know what it says about you, so that's why I haven't made it a staple question yet. So you might be the first person to answer this. Okay, so when people go to like islands and then they're like, I'm gonna go cliff jump, right? You see those, it's crazy. What is the highest? Like, how high would you jump from? Like max. I think that's because I think it says a lot about you.
I think that would probably depend on what my bank account looked like at the time. Like if I could afford to be off work for a while, maybe I'll give it a little higher up. But if things are close, and I'm like, I can't really afford to miss work, I'm probably not going to jump off anything higher than a diving board.
Okay.
But if I have plenty of money in the bank, like I don't know if 20 foot is that high, but if I know that the water is deep enough to support my fat ass going down there, then I'm for it. It's going to take a minute, but as soon as I jump, then it'll be cool and I'll do it more than once. But it's basically, I try to think about, can I afford to be off of work to do things?
Yeah. Okay. I'll make that the caveat then. The caveat is that you can miss up to 6 months of work. You have it.
Yeah. I think 20 feet. Like I'm not great. Like I'm not scared of heights if I have handrails, but like if I'm supposed to jump and there's like a soft landing, then okay. But if I'm standing on the edge of a cliff and like I'm not supposed to jump or fall down, like I don't want any part of that.
See, that's the weird thing. So that's why I think I find it fascinating. I got to figure out what it means to like be the height, because so we live here in the mountains, and so I like to get out on the edge of things where if I fall, it's not good. But not to the point to like, I mean, I'm always safe. I never push myself to the point where like, yeah, this rock's going to bust out. I'm going to die. But I'm close enough to where it freaks people out. My wife, it does not enjoy me watching me get out there. But then I also want to skydive, but then I'm also like deathly afraid of jumping off of anything into water. Not because, and it's because of the height. It's not because of the water. So I'm like, I don't know why that freaks me out. So I've always been fascinated with those things.
One of my fears about being up somewhere high, like if I'm like most of the time, like if the crane, like I'm like, I don't know, 80 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And like I can get to a spot where like I have handrails on each side, like if I need to go to the bathroom or something. But then sometimes I'm busy in the middle of the thing. So like I'll just open the door and pee out of the crane.
Yeah.
But there's nothing between me. I'm just standing on the edge peeing off.
By the way, I totally just realized that there's nowhere to go bathroom in the crane. I've never thought of that until just now.
Yeah. So like if I'm parked in a good spot where I'm not going to piss on somebody's head, like I'll just go off the crane.
Yeah.
But so I'm standing there and I'm like holding on and I'm like, there's a little bit of nervousness because I'm like, what if I just like have a seizure right now? Like,
oh shit.
Like something like you don't think of, or like I get lightheaded and just pass out. I'm falling to my death.
Damn,
so,
yeah. Fuck.
I didn't love that. I think I just get older and think about dumb things like that. But I try to be more secure when I'm taking a pee.
That makes sense. That's crazy. So yeah, I guess I didn't even think of that then asking you that question. You are at pretty high heights normally, so Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why when you said crane, I literally thought like the little toy crane, like you were on the ground, and it was like not crane. I don't know why I didn't put those together.
We're in a building, so I'm in an overhead crane, so like there's rails on each side that go down a building.
That's crazy. But that's scary. I wouldn't be able to do your job. So there's that's too high for me. Man, so I got to figure out what that means though, height wise, because I've always been fascinated. Because there's people I've just seen like they're like, I'll go all the way to the top and just jump like it's nothing, and you're like, what is that in you that like makes you
right
nuts? Like,
right, and, like having a family and stuff weighs into a lot of that too. I guess that's I afford to be off work. If I'm 20 years old and living by myself, I guess I don't give a shit.
That's true. But I have those friends that are like, were like that when they were young, and then they're still like that, and they have a family, and you're like, what are you doing? like my daughter, it happened the other day. I don't know how many times I probably slid down a rail, like a handrail, like on my ass, like just slid down and whatever. And I'm like, you could flip over this thing, like, and hurt yourself or whatever, go too fast. My daughter was doing it when we were leaving the Oregon-Colorado game. And she was like, Dad, I was like, yeah, she was going so slow. I was like, oh my God. And I got on it and I was like, she was like, well, you do it then. And I did it. And then I was going so slow. And then I got off at the end and I was like, well, I didn't slide very fast, luckily. But then she was like, see? And I was like, she's like, why don't you slide down this one and go faster? And I was like, I got to pay the mortgage. That's why I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
Right.
So yeah, I get that. Like when you have a family, you just can't do stupid shit. I think that's probably what saves people's lives, literally, especially dudes. Like I don't know how many guys have kids, and that's probably literally what saves their lives because they'd do something stupid if they didn't have kids.
Probably a pretty high number.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting like. I think it was like on one of the old Harleys. I don't know if you ever heard that one where the question was like if you could get 3 stats for your life or something like that like someone kept. I always like thought about that when I was like I wonder how many times I've literally been close to dying. Like that would be
right.
Like if I made this way instead of that way, like that decision instead of that one, if I would have been.
They had something similar to that recently, and Bailey answered, I want to know how close I was to being set for life, like winning the lottery or something.
Oh, yeah. That would torture me.
I was thinking about that. I was like, that would be cool, but then I'm probably like jumping in front of a train or something if I was like 2 people away from like buying a $200 million lottery ticket.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is like funny, and my wife talks about it all the time. I'm a believer in like things happen for a reason. So I was like, my wife was like, she was like, well, she's like, if you had made it as a baseball player, we probably wouldn't be married. And I was like, no, I was like, you never know. I could have got drafted by the Rockies. They have a minor league team here. I would have came here. We knew each other from middle school. I was like, you would have seen me. It would have been like, oh, I know that kid from middle school. And you would have came out. We probably would have met that way. I always figure there's a way life would have stayed the same, but just been a little different. But like, yeah, it's probably, I mean, probably wouldn't have. I probably definitely would have never met my wife again. But
right.
Like, yeah, it's like those kind of things. You're like, if you take that door instead of that door, I think they made a movie about that too. I think at one point, I think I'd go into Paltrow on it. I think it was called Sliding Doors. Like she makes the train, and then so she catches her husband cheating on her, and then like, but then they showed another part of the movie where she misses the train, and then she never catches him, and they have like this wonderful life. It's like weird. It's a weird movie. I watched it like when I was 18, so I probably just completely misrepresented how that movie ends up. But so yeah, so I guess that's the randomness of this podcast, and I think we definitely lived up to the Swiss Army Man name. We've talked baseball, we talked the Lions football, we've talked XFL, we've talked podcasts, we've talked stupid
children's
books, children's celebrities who might have had dumps taken on them. And rope swings. I mean, so
I think it's perfect.
So yeah,
it was fun.
I think that was everything. So, and you are officially the longest podcast that I've done. So on here. So your longest episode so far. And I think you're the only person so far that I had not had a connection drop at one point during our entire thing.
My in-laws internet apparently.
Yeah. So shout out to your in-laws Wi-Fi. So yeah, and luckily I got a new battery for this thing, so now I am able to actually, it doesn't die on me either. So some of those were mine. So cool. Well, Jems, I appreciate you being on. I will have your Twitter right underneath your thing. Is there anything else people should follow you on that you would like them to follow you on if they decide that your children's book career might be worth following?
I think I have like 4 posts on Instagram, so it's not even worth it. So I would probably just say Twitter.
All right, so I'll add the Twitter under there. Go follow Jems. He's the man. And if you're a Lions fan, if you're left-handed, if you like baseball, if you like children's books that might get written, and or cranes, then go follow Jems. Also, Pat McAfee again. Pat McAfee, unblock this man. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Unblock Jems. He's a good guy.
Appreciate it.
Foxy, you're a Lions fan. Help that happen too.
Right.
Don't hate the Lions. All right, so that's how we're gonna end this show. Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you guys on episode 21 very shortly. All right, bye.